All right, let's dive right into one of the biggest questions you can possibly ask. Is any of this real? We're about to explore some seriously mind-bending science that suggests the world around us is way, way stranger than it seems.
This right here, this is the core of it all. It's a question that just shakes up everything we assume is true. So we're going to start with what feels normal, what feels real, and then we're going to start peeling back the layers, one by one.
So, first up, we've got to tackle the most basic thing we experience. The world feels solid, right? But as we're about to see, this solid illusion is our first big clue that our senses might not be giving us the full story.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. The chair you're sitting in right now, the device you're watching this on, it all feels solid, stable, and just there. Our senses tell us this every single second. But what if they're only showing us a tiny slice of what's really going on? Now look at this number. It's kind of hard to even wrap your head around, but it represents something staggering. That's the percentage of an atom that is pure, empty space. So the very building blocks of you, me, and everything we think is solid are almost entirely nothing at all.
And this just puts it into perspective perfectly. If you could just, poof, get rid of all that empty space and every single person on the planet, the entire human race would shrink down to the size of a sugar cube. What we feel as solid isn't really stuff touching stuff. It's the electromagnetic forces of atoms pushing against each other. It's like a force field.
Okay, so if solid stuff isn't really solid, what happens when we zoom in even deeper, down to the quantum level? Well, this is where reality gets really, really weird. It stops acting like a machine with predictable parts and starts looking more like a shimmering field of pure potential.
So yeah, what does happen when we peek into that subatomic world? Well, all the rules of physics that we know and love start to bend and break. The universe suddenly starts playing by a completely different and, frankly, bizarre set of rules. Think about it like this. In our world, a baseball is either here or it's there. Simple, right? But a quantum particle? Oh no. Until you actually look at it, it doesn't have one single location. It exists in this weird haze of possibility called a superposition. It's in all of its possible places at once. It's literally here and there and everywhere in between, all at the same time. And this is the part that just changes everything. The foundation of our universe isn't made of little solid bits of matter. It's made of a shimmering, buzzing field of potential. It's not a collection of things. It's a collection of what-ifs.
Okay, but if reality is just a bunch of possibilities, that brings up a huge question. What actually turns one of those possibilities into the reality we see and feel? And this is where it gets even stranger. It turns out the simple act of looking changes everything. This whole bizarre process is called the observer effect. So when a particle isn't being watched, it's just this wave of pure potential. But the instant, the very microsecond it's measured or observed, that whole wave of maybes just collapses into one single definite point in reality. It's like the universe is waiting to be looked at before it decides what to be.
And this leads us to one of the deepest, most debated questions in all of science. If observing something forces it to become real, what counts as an observer? Now, in physics, it can just be a measuring device. But it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Does our consciousness, our awareness, somehow play a part in creating the world around us?
So what happens to all those other possibilities when we only see one of them become real? Do they just disappear? Well, one mind-bending theory says no, not at all. This is where we step into what feels like science fiction, but it's a very serious scientific idea. This is the many worlds interpretation, or as most of us know it, the multiverse theory. The idea is that every single possible outcome actually happens. Instead of that wave of possibilities collapsing, reality itself just splits. A brand new universe is created for every single possibility, branching off into this infinite cosmic tree. The implications are just staggering to think about. Every single choice you have ever made, from what you ate for breakfast to your career path, created a split. And that means there are infinite versions of you out there living out the consequences of every other choice you could have possibly made.
Okay, let's look at another wild theory that tries to explain why our universe is so, well, full of rules. What if the reason reality acts like it's following a script is because it's running on one? What if we're living in a simulation?
This is a pretty cool way to look at it. Some scientists have pointed out that our universe has features you might expect to find in a computer program. Things like space and time seem to have a minimum resolution, kind of like pixels on a screen. The laws of physics are like unflinching algorithms. And matter itself could just be, well, bits of information, just code.
And this quote just gets right to the heart of it. It's the idea that the most fundamental thing in the universe isn't matter, isn't energy, it's just information. We could literally be living inside some kind of massive cosmic computer.
So, after all of that, empty atoms, fields of pure possibility, infinite universes, and cosmic computers, what does any of this mean for us, for you and me? Let's bring it all back down to Earth, because this isn't just a fun thought experiment.
Okay, first big takeaway. If reality is fundamentally just a field of potential, then it means the future is not set in stone. The universe is way more fluid, way more open to possibility than we ever thought. Our need to know everything for sure? That might be the real illusion.
And the second point, which follows from that, is huge. Your attention has real power. If the act of observing is what collapses all those possibilities into a single reality, then where we choose to put our focus, our attention, well, that's incredibly important. It's the very tool we use to interact with that sea of potential. And all of this leads to one final incredible idea. For so long, we've kind of seen ourselves as these tiny, insignificant little things looking out at this vast, separate universe. But this new science is telling us that that's just wrong.
You're not separate from the universe at all. You're a fundamental part of how it unfolds. Reality isn't some movie that you're just passively watching. It is a dynamic, creative process, a dance between what's possible and what's observed. And you are one of the dancers. So we're going to end not with an answer, but with a question for you. If you are an active participant, a co-creator, and if your attention helps shape the world from a sea of infinite possibilities, what kind of reality will you